All right.
All right, please be seated. Mr. Overstreet, when you're ready.
I think we're done, Judge. Thanks.
Okay, all right. Redirect.
Thank you. You have water?
I have water.
Okay. Ms. Brophy, what time did you get up this morning?
4:30.
Is that what happens every day when you come to court?
It is.
And what time do you get to actually go to sleep at night?
Well, lights off is at 11, which is kind of a misnomer. But the party continues.
Okay. Are you tired?
I'm exhausted. I am truly exhausted.
Throughout this trial, the one objection that seems to be most uttered most often is the objection about hearsay. Do you now know what hearsay is?
I have a handle on it, I think.
And is hearsay when somebody offers something that somebody else said?
Yes.
You began your testimony talking about a memory hole. Is that right?
That's right.
And so there's a space of time that you remember there are things that you remember and things that you don't.
Objection leading.
I'll allow that question.
That's true.
So as we kind of go through these things, can we talk about things that you remember, and if you don't remember?
Yes.
Okay. Has that been a struggle?
Oh, I think I've missed that mark on so many occasions. You know, this has been so frustrating. I realize that that the day of June 2nd, not only is there a memory hole, but I have a hard time making it clear what I actually remember, what people have told me, what I have read, and what I know to be our family routine. I also feel like part of the memory hole, before the psychiatrist, before the psychologist, before everybody came in and had a theory, part of the memory hole was from the fact that the day just didn't matter to me. It was totally irrelevant until Maxine called me. When Maxine called me, my day began. All the rest of the stuff was just stuff. It was a black cloud of nothing. But when Maxine called me, my day became alive. And I can tell you what happened from that point on. I just can't tell you what happened to any clarity before that.
We've heard some testimony about writers living in two worlds, one kind of in the world with their characters and one in the real world.
Yes.
Before Maxine called, where were you?
Oh, I was definitely in my writing world. I was living in a little bubble, you know.
After Maxine called on June 2nd, were you back in your writing bubble?
Not at all. Not at all.
Were you still in a different kind of world?
One of terror.
I want to, you said that you bought the gun kit on December 24th of 2017.
Yes.
Is that right? And I think the states introduced some exhibits to show the time that happened.
Yes.
I want to show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 228. We showed this to Ms. Medlin, but I'm wondering if you can identify it. What is this?
This is the route from Avamere, which is in the lower part of the screen, to our house in the upper part of the screen.
Okay, and how long does it take to get from Avamere to your house?
Depending on traffic, I would say anywhere from 5 minutes to 7, 8, 9 minutes, maybe.
You know, the defense would move to admit Exhibit 228.
No objection.
228's admitted.
There was a lot of back and forth about why you bought the slide on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
That's right.
And I think you testified, but I want to be clear on this. You testified that there'd been a conversation with Dan in which he didn't think it was a good idea to take the Glock entirely apart,
No, he thought that was a very bad idea.
for you to do it in particular.
Yeah,
So why did you buy the extra sliding barrel?
because I could take that apart and play with it.
And you said that the sliding barrel in your mind went with the gun kit.
Yes. Yes, there was a big separation between what was writing and what was for protection.
There was a description about where the sliding barrel was kept in your closet.
Yes.
Where was the sliding barrel kept in your closet?
It's a fairly decent sized closet, and I had an armoire here, and beside the armoire was the gun case and the
Gun case?
the gun case for the put it together gun, and the I'm sorry, I'm losing words here, and the sliding barrel. So they were all kind of together in this little area.
Where was the put, as you call it, the put together gun, or the gun that had already, the real gun?
The real gun was across the closet. It was on a higher shelf, and it was tucked behind clothes so it couldn't be found easily.
Did you ever use the sliding barrel that you bought
Mhm.
with the Glock 17 that you bought?
No,
Did you ever?
they were two different things. One was for riding and playing, and one was for protection.
Did you ever use the sliding barrel with the gun kit? Did you ever use the sliding barrel in the gun kit, I guess I should say?
No,
When do you last remember seeing the slide?
I haven't seen the slide uh, forever. I'm not sure I saw it. I'm not sure I saw it even before Dan died. It could have been I did, but I don't have a memory of that. What I can tell you is that um, my closet was a jumbled mess for 3 months while we decided what we needed to keep of Dan's, what we needed to throw away. There was stuff everywhere. Did I answer your question?
You did. I'm sorry. I was just trying to think of my next question. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I thought maybe I'd wandered off topic again.
When did you start packing up boxes after Dan died?
I didn't start packing up boxes after Dan died. Susan did. And it was because Susan was here and she could see by looking at our storage building, we'd already started packing boxes.
Well, I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but I'm just kind of trying to get a sense of timing. When in the summer did boxes begin to get packed?
I'm going to guess maybe 3 weeks after Dan died that Susan had started on stuff.
Okay, but how many people total were involved in that effort?
Oh, as close as I can get to a count, I think it was 35.
How many weeks or months did it take to get the boxes packed?
They weren't packed by the time I was arrested, so that was September 5th. I mean, I still had a slew of stuff that was in the basement, that was in the upstairs office, that was next to the bed, that hadn't been packed at all.
But there were many, many boxes that were packed and taken to storage or taken to pods,
There were.
and many boxes that were packed up and sent home with other people or to other homes.
I think I would describe it differently than boxes that were packed up. I would describe it, we gave away a lot of things that, particularly things that I thought Dan would have wanted somebody to have. I tried to make sure that they get that, that they would, um, and particularly if he had made it, such as his canned goods or his Northwestern sauce or his habanero sauce, or if it was something he truly valued. Like at one point, Karen and Jack called me and said, we would like a t-shirt. Dan wore t-shirts all the time, and many of them were funny, but lots of them were garden and environment related. And they said, could you find us a t-shirt or each that we could keep? And I found two of his favorites for them, you know?
How many loads of just things that got discarded or debris got hauled away?
Oh, probably 6. And they were, it wasn't a full-size big truck. It was a truck, but it wasn't, it was with high walls, so you could pile it higher, but about 6.
Let me shift gears here. You said something about Susan.
Mm-hmm.
There had been, the council asked you a question that suggested that that you and Dan had not been packing up the house or kind of clearing out the house in advance of a sale of the house before Dan died. Is that true?
No, uh, no, I started in places where I knew I could start packing things away and it wouldn't be an issue. We had a high boy in the living room that had a lot of the things we bought in Asia that we really had enjoyed, but we were prepared to move them on at this point. And I know I gave a lot of them to Nathaniel and his wife. I gave some to other friends of Dan's who I thought would appreciate what it was.
You rented that storage unit in December, is that right?
I thought it was earlier than that, but you may be right.
Okay, and before that, did you talked about some kind of a, I don't know if you called it a warehouse or something where you'd taken items to sell?
Mm-hmm.
And what was that?
It was called a garage sale warehouse, and you had a 10 by 10 space, and you put stuff out and price on it and the number of your booth, and then you didn't have to be there for it. They just took the stuff up to the front and purchased it.
So had you rented that for several months?
I think we rented it for 6,
Okay,
but we were done with it by the new year, I'm pretty sure.
okay, so the last 6 months in 2017, you had this warehouse space where
Right.
you'd put a lot of extra items to see if people would buy them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you purchased or you rented this public storage space.
Yes.
And were you moving items into the public storage space before Dan died?
Oh, yeah. In fact, Dan helped me break down the garage sale stuff, and we had things that we needed to donate out of that, but we also had things we needed to put in the storage and things we needed to deal with. And he and I had done that. I don't think Jack helped. In fact, I'm pretty sure Jack did not help on that.
Okay, so you're talking about moving things from storage to storage. I'm asking you whether you moved things from your home
Oh,
into storage.
I'm sorry. The things I moved from my home were, yeah, we'd started on Susan's room. We'd started on linen closets. We'd started on areas that we thought, we can move this along.
I want to show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 2124. I have to make that a little bigger.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is a text message from your husband.
Mm-hmm.
What's the date on this?
3/4 of 18.
Attacking Susan's room with reckless abandon is the question.
Uh-huh.
And so what were you doing from looking at that? What's your best guess about what you were doing on March 4th of 2018?
It was attacking Susan's room with reckless abandon. We had a lot of stuff in there.
Okay. You heard Jack Brophy testify about that room being filled with, I think he called it Dan debris.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, but I had my own little helping in there.
Was that a room that after Susan moved out just kind of became a room where you put stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And every so often I'd go in and get it cleaned out, and then we'd begin again to put more stuff in there.
Okay. But back in March of 2018, were you taking things from Susan's room and moving them into storage?
I was.
Council also asked you about March 26th and March 27th, and some of the questions were about cell site location information, but the other question was about, I think you called it States Exhibit 82. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And he suggested that you had, quote, Googled something.
Yes.
Okay, I want to show you what's been marked. Remember when Josiah Roloff testified
I
with Ms.
do.
Weinmiller?
Yes.
About things that were found on your computer?
Mm-hmm.
I want to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 339. And Mr. Breton, if you would go from pages 3 to 6. Mr. Breton, I have bad eyes. Can you make that a little bigger so I can see some?
I have to pull it up. Hold on one second.
If you could make that, I'm sorry, Mr. Breton, if you could make that area in blue just a little bit bigger. Yeah, I can see it better. Oh, so there's an area in blue there, and I think council asked you about supposedly Googling loading a Glock, a 9mm Glock.
Mm-hmm.
And can you see over there, and can you read the time that happened?
That happened on 3/26 at 10:13:35.
Okay, and what's happening and what's the timestamps on all the YouTubes that go before that?
13:35.
So, and then what about all the ones that come after this loading a Glock? What happens then?
Well, the next three are 35, and then we go to 36. So the next three are in the same second, but the five that follow it are in the next second after following that. So it was 36. This 36 second.
What after the page after that?
Okay, so we start at the top of the page, and we are at 10:13:36, and we run all the way down the entire page to 10:13:36.
And what about the next page?
That's also 10:13:36, and that runs all the way down that page.
And what about the next page?
It starts at where the blue is highlighted, that's 10:13:36, and after that, the next three are 10:13:45, and the rest of the page is 10:19:38.
Okay, and do you recall Mr. Roloff testifying that this appeared to be an automatic function on the computer as opposed to something that you did on March 26th and March 27th?
I do. I didn't recall it at the time I was asked, but I do now remember it.
Although when when Mr. Overstreet asked you the question about whether you Googled a video, you just agreed with them?
Apparently, I'm an idiot. But ignoring that, apparently I thought it was, as an exhibit, that had been what we had said.
Okay, but that's because it was something that he told you.
Yes.
Council asked you about, I think you told the story about these little tiny houses
Mm-hmm.
that Dan seemed interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked you whether you were going to live in one and Dan was going to live in one.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
And what was your answer?
My answer was no. Dan was going to store his junk in one, and we were going to live in the other one.
Did you and Dan Brophy ever talk about separating or ever talk about getting a divorce?
No. No. Yeah, my life would have been so incomplete without him.
When you and Dan had conversations about getting your finances in order,
Mm-hmm.
Did that ever lead to tension in your relationship or a deterioration of your relationship?
No, no. We both came to the table as adults. One of the nice things about getting older is that you actually where you get through all the garbage of youth. We came to the table as adults. We both brought ideas to the table. We adapted a combination of ideas. We were both happy. And more than that, we were happy that we'd come up with a solution that would work for both of us.
counsel asked you about whether you'd ever been to, I think he called it the Tri-County shooting lane.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been there?
I don't even know where it is, so no, I've never been there.
If you knew that it was a private membership club, did anyone ever invite you to go there?
No,
Are you a member of the Tri-County Club?
no. And neither was Dan.
You testified about a time that Dan started to, well, before I ask you that, let me just talk about one other thing. The Brophy phone credit card thing, can you, you testified that something wouldn't have happened because you didn't have a bra on, so you wouldn't have had your phone.
Mhm.
And I got confused by that. Can you explain what that meant?
I'm in pajamas. I'm in a nightshirt. And I know there are women who sleep in their bras because they think they're defying gravity, and that just never happens. But I don't. And so when I got up, I threw on tights. I didn't have a bra on. I didn't grab my phone. I didn't grab the stuff that I grab that I keep with me all the time when I need it because I wasn't going anywhere. I'm in
Okay.
pajamas.
All right. And again, I want to talk to you about things that you remember, things
Right.
that you think might have happened based on a routine, and
Right.
things that you have been told.
Right?
Getting up and being in your nightshirt and not wearing a bra and not having your phone, is that something, where is that on our continuum?
On our continuum is that is routine. That is not what I remember. That is routine.
I want to show you Defendant's Exhibit 383. And I'll ask you a couple of questions. You remember we were talking about the AmeriCorps policy, and counsel asked you whether in fact that was a policy that would have just terminated if you took the return of premium cash out
Yes?
that came with that policy.
Yes, and I told him that I was pretty sure I didn't think it would, but I could be wrong.
Okay. So, Mr. Breton, if you would first kind of scroll down. Can you, yeah, right there. Can you see Ms. Brophy on that table, that insurance annual premiums table? Can you see where all of a sudden the death benefit jumps up to $154,756?
Yes, I can.
And that's when someone reaches the age of what?
78.
Okay. And if you would go back up to the top, Mr. Breton. There's under the description of the coverage, there's a phrase that says insurance policy endowment at the age of 100.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
What that means is that this policy could continue to 100 if I paid the premiums, but it doesn't mean the premiums will necessarily stay the same.
Okay. But that if you wanted to keep both, take the money
Right?
and keep the $100,000 benefit,
Right?
that was available to you so long as you were willing to pay the premium until Dan reached the age of 100.
Yes.
You talked about after Dan, you kind of toyed with the little house idea or the tiny house idea, or at least Dan did. You talked about going to Portugal and being an expat.
Uh-huh.
You talked about maybe trying to find, or maybe staying on your property and separating it in half.
Right?
You also talked about different places that you could move outside of the city,
Right?
and maybe have still a little bit of land without the mortgage.
Yes.
Okay. And I think you testified that things began to gel after Dan, or gel, and it sounds like things never really quite gelled, but
Uh-huh.
you started to focus more on at least one option after Dan had visited Delilah Marvell's property near Banks.
Yes.
And do you know when it was that your husband toured Delilah Marvell's property?
I'm going to say 2016, and it was a nice day, and we were all walking around on the land, so I'm going to say it was summer.
Can you tell us about where things stood on June 2nd, 2018, about the kind of property you and Dan wanted to find?
Yeah, I think we were pretty clear by then what we wanted. We wanted someplace that was, as we say loosely, halfway to the coast. Uh, Dan wanted to be near mushroom hunting. Dan wanted to be able to go to the coast easily. Dan wanted a little property. Now, how much of the little property was still wildly in flux? I knew we wanted more than a half acre, but I wasn't sure Dan really wanted more than 2 acres because he wanted to garden it and not feel like it was so much. And he may have looked at property and said, as we got serious about it, and said, no, this is too much. This is, or he may have looked at 5 acres and said, oh, hey, I've got a plan. That was still up in the air. But what we wanted as much as anything else in the world was something that we could pay cash for and not have a mortgage.
I just have one last question, Ms. Brophy.
Okay.
Was your relationship, or 2 questions, I guess, was your relationship strained with Dan Brophy on June 2nd of 2018?
Not at all.
Had your marriage deteriorated in any way by June 2nd of 2018?
Not at all. We were planning our next vacation and we had a plan to make it work and we were moving forward. In fact, in some ways, I think it was one of the happiest periods of our lives.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
All right, you can put your mask back up and step down.
Thank you.
And the defense next witness.
Defense will recall Sergio Perez.